So anyway, I posted a new blog, and it is in line with May being Mental Health Month, and it has a heavy topic. It is suicide. So the title is, What Can We Do About Suicide? Create Change. Every day, 123 people are lost to suicide in the USA, and 1.1 million attempt suicide annually. Over 8.6% of youth reported that they have at least made one suicide attempt in the last 12 months. Teenage girls attempt twice as more often than boys, but boys take their lives at nearly 4 times the rate as girls. Youth suicide rates overall have remained significantly lowered compared to every older age group. The rate of suicide for middle-aged white men is currently the highest recorded. Overall, suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the USA. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention has worked for the past 30 years to save those who are struggling and be a source of comfort and understanding to those who have lost loved ones to suicide. There are various ways that we can all work towards raising awareness and assisting ourselves or our loved ones who contemplate suicide. One of the very first things to realize is that you need to take action. Actually, put yourself forward, take a step. Suicide prevention starts with everyday actions from everyday people and situations. Learn how to hashtag seize the awkward, which is one of the programs and campaigns that the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is championing. So you want to educate yourself. If you're able, attend a mental health first aid training, which is a certification that I got in April of this year, and I have talked a lot about on my cast and in my blogs and on social media. Mental health first aid is an 8-hour training that teaches participants a 5-step action plan to helping someone who is suffering from a mental health crisis. If you are unable to attend, Dr. Matthew Winterstein explains in a YouTube video that it is in my blog what to say and how to say it if you are concerned for someone. Ask directly if they are okay, if they're thinking about suicide, state that you notice that their behavior has changed drastically, and be non-judgmental and reflexively listen to them, which means that you would ask clarifying questions. So if they say, I'm feeling really down because of this, this, and this, you would say, so what I'm understanding is that you have all these things going on and it's making you feel down. It might seem simple and it might seem awkward, but it makes sure that someone understands that they're actually being heard and they can clarify, and they're like, well, actually that was not completely truthful because there's this other thing. Or, now that you put it that way, it's really not that bad. I went through worse a few years ago, don't you remember? And it can help someone get through their problems just by talking it out and analyzing what's going on. There's another more lighthearted term called rubber ducking in technology, where you basically look at a rubber ducky and you explain what you want your program or your code or your computer to do. And as you're explaining to a rubber ducky, which is such a simple object, you need to explain every little step. You can usually find why your code isn't compiling or why the computer isn't turning on, because you're like, duh, I forgot to check that connector, or duh, I forgot to make sure this is running properly, or so on. You want to let people know when you're talking to them about this that you can help assist them finding the right treatments, medications, professionals, and any other help that they need to get better. As well. So, another bullet point is breaking the awkward silence. Notice if someone is going through a tough time and something seems off. Do they not hang out as much? Even if they do go and hang out, does it seem like they're spacing out? Do they eat too little? Do they eat too much? Do they sleep too much? Do they sleep too little? Are they taking too many risks or not participating in anything whatsoever? Have they mentioned being hopeless? Are they over drinking, doing drugs, or self-harming themselves? If you notice anything like that, or if you think that just something seems off with your friend or your coworker or your neighbor or someone that you interact with and things are just slightly different, feel free to ask, hey, are you okay? Because even if they're not depressed, even if they're not contemplating suicide, everyone has sad days. Everyone has off days. Sometimes you just like get out of the bed in the wrong way and everything is going wrong. And just having another human being saying, hey, you doing okay? Like, is everything all right? Is sometimes enough to make them feel worthy. It might be a little embarrassing sometimes too, because like, oh my gosh, I'm such a hot mess that a total stranger, just, you know, someone who takes the bus all the time and, you know, I've seen for the last year, notices that like something's off. But it doesn't hurt to show love to other humans in just a very platonic and brotherly way. It's simple to start that kind of conversation, just saying, are you okay? There are other ways to break the awkwardness. You can say, I know this is awkward, but I'd like to know if you're doing all right. Maybe it's just me, but it seems that things are off. I know that you're going through some stuff. I'm here for you. No matter what's happening with you, I got your back. If you get an answer, that doesn't block off conversation. So if they say, yeah, I'm fine, or nah, I just having a bad hair day, or I really don't want to talk about it actually. If you get something that's like, yeah, I've been struggling lately, or, you know, it just feels like nothing is going my way recently, or this year is the worst year I've ever had in my life, things like that. Listen to them and ask clarifying questions that are reflexive in the verbiage that they've used. So, like I said, they said, I'm just having the worst year of my life. And you could say, well, what's making you feel like you're having the worst year of your life? Ask open-ended questions, try to get them to clarify what they're saying and work through it. Let them know that it's okay to feel the way they do, even if it just seems so outlandish that they are frustrated that they broke a glass. It's a compounding effect of a bunch of different things going wrong, and then this is just the straw that broke the camel's back sort of idea. And so it is that person's perception of the world, and it is how they feel that things are going for them, and you want to do your best to let them know that it's okay to have crazy emotions and things that seem outlandish, because that's the way that they're perceiving the situation right now. Let them open up at their own speed as well. Don't try to force answers or demand answers out of them. Don't say, well, what are you going to do to fix this? Don't offer advice of, well, if you don't like your job, just get a new one. Like, that's not really super helpful, even though it is something that you're like, let me just give tough love. You want to be supportive and actually just let them vent, let them get their emotions off their chest. Be clear that you aren't judging them and you're here if they need to vent about things or if they need to forget about things. And if casual conversation doesn't seem to be fixing the issues, encourage them to talk to an expert like a psychologist, and let them know that you're here to be able to help them find the right one and navigate those issues and those troubled waters, because it can be very daunting to find a doctor. And sometimes these conversations don't go well. Make sure that you stay available and keep checking in. Hey, how you doing? You want to come to the movies with me and a bunch of guys on Thursday night? Hey, no problem. We're probably going to do it again in 2 weeks, but we're going to play D&D. You're always invited to that. And then, re-invite them. Even if they are someone who never accepts, keep inviting them to events, because it makes them feel included and wanted, even though it's very difficult sometimes for people who do suffer from certain mental health issues to get the energy to put the effort into going out and doing things. And make sure that you keep what they say to you in confidence, unless you feel like you personally need outside professional help to deal with any sort of heavy topics that they talked about, or if you feel like they are an immediate danger to themselves or others and you want to keep themselves and others out of harm's way. So if there's someone who's like, yeah, I've contemplated suicide. I actually attempted it last weekend and it failed because I didn't take enough pills. But I think I'm going to try again. Or, but I ordered more this time. Those are crisis situations, and that's when you definitely need to get professional help as soon as possible. And unfortunately, even if you know these warning signs and you talk to someone about their issues, even if they're going to a professional, even if they're taking medication, occasionally they do complete suicide, and people like yourself might be considered survivors of that suicide because you've lost a loved one or a close coworker or a family friend. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention offers a new peer support program, a coordination of survivors of suicide loss, and there are trained peer volunteers who are all survivors who know firsthand how difficult it is to find your way onward in the aftermath of a suicide. And you can find more support linked here on my blog. So I know this is a really heavy topic, but I think it's important to discuss and make sure that suicide, even just discussing suicide, isn't taboo, because the more we hide it away, the more shamed people will feel if they aren't doing well and it is something that crosses their mind, and they might think that they're too far gone to get any help, which isn't true whatsoever. Even if you aren't someone who's mentally ill or going through an incredibly traumatic and tough time in your life, we've all kind of thought about suicide, even just like the first time that suicide was explained to us, like, oh, killing myself. Well, what are the pros and cons of that? And it's okay to think about it. It's not okay to feel alone in your thoughts and not get help for it and attempt it when there's so many different options to get assistance. So, like I said, I know it's a heavy topic, but I hope that it's helpful to help people realize that we do need to talk about it, we do need to raise awareness, and we do need to look out for each other more often. So, hi Dad, how you doing? Welcome on in. King Kong Kane.